Okay, so this is a video on how I became a freelance web developer in Japan. It wasn't easy at the start. It was quite difficult. Let's sit somewhere and I'll explain more. So it started off around 5 years ago. Over 5 years ago, I was an English teacher in Tokyo, and I wasn't making very much. I was making around 2,000 to 2,500 a month, which is, in some countries that's a lot, and in others it's minimum wage. It really depends on where you are, but for Tokyo it's barely enough. I think it depends how you live, and at that time I was around 27 or so, 26, 27, and it was really tough for me. I had a lot of taxes to pay. Just wasn't going well in life at that time. And at that time I felt like I wanted to do something, but I wasn't too sure. I didn't really know anything. So I didn't finish high school. I barely went through until 16 years old maybe. So I quit early. And then I also have a degree, but I got into the polytechnic kind of college, kind of university through a back door. So nothing to be proud of, but hey, I just needed that degree. So at that time, around 26, 27, I really didn't have too much going for me. I wanted to get some skills so I can improve my chances of getting a job with a promising future, but I didn't know where to start. So I went to a bookstore and I was thinking of architecture or design. I to be honest, I had no idea what I was doing. I looked at a few books and there was the IT section, and of course I didn't, and at that time I didn't have any idea about what was what in IT. I could only use YouTube, and that's about it, and probably send emails, but I had no idea what was happening in the IT industry. So I saw I guessed that the simplest route would have been through making websites. So I started off with 2 books. One was HTML and CSS, the other one was JavaScript. And then for about a few months I just used those books as a reference to study by myself. Once I got those 2 books, I just decided to myself, I'm going to become a web developer, no matter what. And I gave myself a 1-year time frame from 0 to first employment. So right away, I found that I ran into a lot of barriers or boundaries or walls, hills, whatever you want to call them. Having no teacher, and even though you have all the information on the internet, it's an information overdose where there's just too much of it. It's that analysis paralysis, is that what you call it? So I really didn't know what to do because there was too much information. But I stuck to those books and I went through a few months. I did consider going through a boot camp. The price was too high for me and I had no savings at that point. So I thought, okay, yeah, I have to do this myself for free, or at least as free as possible. And and not finishing high school and not really paying attention, it does affect how you learn later on in life. So some things took me a while to learn, but I made it my mission to learn what I had to learn to get a job and to somewhat secure my future. So around 6 months into studying, I had to reduce my working hours at my teaching job. So I tried to keep my teaching hours around 20 hours a week. And then the rest of the other time I was just studying and trying to create my own product. I read that if you have your own product, it's a lot easier to get into a startup or a company. So after those books, I just used a lot of YouTube, Stack Overflow, just Googling as much, whatever I needed, I just Googled. And I think that's something that helped me a lot later on, is just learning how to search for things that you need to learn. And having very little money at that time, I have a pretty old computer. It was probably a 2008 model computer. It was Windows. The fans didn't work so well, so I had to buy a fan, external fan for my laptop. The mouse pad didn't work, so I had to buy a mouse. The keyboards didn't work, so I had a keyboard. The screen was also broken, so I had to plug it into an external screen. And it was really tough, I have to be honest about that. But I believe I'm a tough guy. I can take a lot of damage. I can take a lot. Spending hours on one small problem was something I just knew I had to get used to. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, as you can see already. But I knew that I had to get there somehow. At one point of my studying journey, I was working, of course, the 20 hours a week. But then at one stage, I think I was sleeping under 5 hours a night, which is fine for some people. For me, it's not the best. It's not ideal to be sleeping under 5 hours a night. But at some points, that is what happened. And then I remember one day I was studying all night, or working all night on my project, my own personal project, as a portfolio. And then I slept very few hours that night. And then I woke up the next day and went to work. And at the station, I fainted. I think I just I overdid it. And sometimes I do that to myself without knowing. I fainted and hit my head on the cement. So I KO'd myself for a few minutes, I think, and I just sat. Then I just found myself awake next to inside the train station, and the train conductor just checking on me and making sure I'm okay. And that was a hard time. I'm not saying that it's good to go hardcore and deprive yourself from sleep, but that was the mindset I was in, where I knew that in 1 year I was going to get a job as a web developer or something along the lines of that, no matter what. So towards the end of the 1 year, I wasn't confident that I could make things, but I knew that I could. I just wasn't confident. So I made my own really crappy kind of club chat, social media web app. It was horrendous, but the code behind it worked. The real-time chat was working. The server was correctly saving, editing, and deleting all the posts of the users. The login system was working. So it just was a bit ugly. I'm not the best at design, but I wasn't becoming a designer, so I knew that it wasn't so much of a problem. So after that 1 year was up, I saved up. I didn't save up so much, actually, because it's hard to save up when you don't have much and you're living in Tokyo. But I saved up a few $1,000s around, which is not enough to live on for a few months. But I thought if I don't quit after that 1 year, I would never take that first leap, take that first jump. So that first jump I quit my job, and then I said I need to focus on this 100%. So I quit my job. I had my portfolio ready with 2 projects of my own, and I just put out my CVs on various websites for hiring websites. I had 3 replies. Actually, I had more than that. I mean, most of them, maybe more than half, were negative replies, declining me. And then I had 3 replies, and one of them stuck out to me because it was based on the technologies that I was studying. So if you're out there trying to do this, try to stick to a job with the same or similar technology that you're using. That's a video for another time. So I applied for one job, and it was terrible. I mean, it was great, but my computer didn't have a camera because I was really using a really old, crappy computer. So I borrowed my friend's laptop to do an online meeting, and at that time I could speak Japanese, but it wasn't at a point where anyone would probably hire me. But I tried my best, and that job I got after the second. Actually, that job I had to do a small project for them to prove that I can help them in their current projects. So I did a kind of test project, and I really focused so hard on that. But looking back now, I can tell that I wasn't ready for most things coming my way. But I think that's something that happens in life, when most things coming your way you are not ready for, we are not prepared for. So, and that's also me coming to Japan itself was something I wasn't prepared for from the start, and that's a video for another time in terms of finances and maturity. So after that, I went through that test period for was about a week or two, and then I had to prove to them that I can help somehow with the code. I was accepted in, and then put on a 3 month, I forgot the word, trial, 3 month trial. And in that 3 month trial, I really just, I was just focused so much. But getting that job was probably, I don't know if I don't have many great stories of my life, but that was the biggest step in my life I've ever had. And for some people, it's a very normal thing. You finish university and you get a job in a company. From my side, I come from more of a labored background, if you can say that. I've worked multiple different types of jobs: supermarkets, cleaning cars, delivering cakes, bellboy at hotel. This is probably for another video, but I've been through all different types of jobs. Not careers, nothing like that. And even the English teacher job itself, if you know, you know. Well, basically, any of these non-English speaking countries can hire anyone. Can hire anyone. And to be fair, the job was quite easy, teaching English, to be honest. So that job really opened up a door to me, and that took 1 year to get. And so anyway, back to that 3 month period of hunting for jobs, I had probably $3,000 max, and that's how much I said I have to find a job. I said to myself, I must find a job in the next 3 months, or else I am broke and probably homeless, as you don't have family around, or it's really hard to rely on people. Yeah, that was one of the biggest jumps in my life, one of the scariest, besides coming to Japan, which is a different story. And if you come from it, this is one of those discussions where if you come from a family where things are obvious, or working an office job is something normal, being able to articulate things, it was an eye-opener for me, coming from a different background. And it's easy to say, based on someone's skin tone, that he had it easier than others. Of course, we have it easier than English-speaking countries have it easier than 90% of the world or something. I don't know the statistics, but we have it easy enough. So I'm always grateful for where I am, especially when you see some of the conditions around the world. When you travel to these countries where opportunities are not as easy to get, or for some people's cases impossible. So that's the story of how I became a web developer in Japan, and within 1 year, a year and some change. Isn't that interesting? So if you've made it this far, thank you for listening, and I hope that this channel can help you if you want to come to Japan and become a web developer or an IT professional, or maybe you're in Japan and you want to take that leap from, because highly likely most of the English speakers in Japan are English teachers. I mean, I don't know the numbers on that, but I'm just guessing. Or maybe even you are in another country, a non-English speaking country, and you are an English teacher, or you don't have the skills to achieve something greater than what you're currently achieving. I hope this channel can help you in some way. And I would like to break down a bit more about technology working in Japan or even East Asia. But yeah, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more.